It is no denying that Black Americans dominate in athletics. From basketball to wrestling, from tennis to golf, anytime we've gotten an opportunity to compete, we've elevated the sport. Today, we will count down 10 Black trailblazers in sports. These athletes broke down the door of segregation and laid a path for future generations. As always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. First up, he punched through segregation. 10. Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson's journey to the top was marred by the pervasive racism of his time. In an era of Jim Crow laws and segregation, Black athletes faced discrimination at every turn. Despite his undeniable talent, Johnson was denied opportunities to compete for the heavyweight title simply because of the color of his skin. But Johnson refused to be held back by bigotry. With unmatched skill and unwavering determination, he continued to climb the ranks, challenging the status quo with every punch he threw. In 1908, Jack Johnson made history by defeating Tommy Burns to become the first African-American heavyweight champion of the world. His victory sent shockwaves through the boxing world and challenged the notion of white supremacy in sports. Johnson's triumph wasn't just a personal victory, it was a victory for equality and justice. Jack Johnson's legacy extends far beyond the boxing ring. His courage and resilience paved the way for future generations of Black athletes, proving that talent knows no color. His influence can be seen in the achievements of Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, and countless others who followed in his footsteps. Though his life was marked by triumph and tragedy, Jack Johnson will forever be remembered as a true champion, both inside and outside the ring. 9. Charlie Sifford. Charlie Sifford's journey in golf was marked by the harsh realities of racism and discrimination. In an era where golf clubs were often exclusive to white players, Sifford faced numerous obstacles. He was denied entry into tournaments, faced racial slurs on the course, and endured the indignity of segregated facilities. But Sifford refused to be deterred by the prejudice surrounding him. With unwavering determination and a remarkable talent for the game, he forged ahead, determined to break down barriers and pave the way for future generations of Black golfers. In 1961, Charlie Sifford made history by becoming the first African-American golfer to earn a PGA Tour card. His groundbreaking achievement shattered the color barrier in professional golf and opened the doors for countless Black players who followed in his footsteps. Despite facing hostility and resistance from some of his fellow competitors and fans, Sifford persevered, proving that talent and tenacity know no bounds. His courage and resilience paved the way for a more inclusive and diverse sport. Charlie Sifford's impact on the world of golf cannot be overstated. Through his bravery and determination, he not only transformed the sport, but also inspired generations of Black athletes to pursue their dreams. His legacy lives on in the countless Black golfers who have followed in his footsteps, as well as the ongoing efforts to promote diversity and inclusion within the golfing community. Charlie Sifford will forever be remembered as a trailblazer, a pioneer, and a true champion of equality. Next up, it might be difficult to imagine, but before him, the NBA didn't have any players with melanin. 8. Earl Lloyd. Earl Lloyd's journey in basketball was deeply intertwined with the pervasive racism of his time. Growing up in the segregated South, Lloyd faced discrimination both on and off the court. Despite his undeniable talent, he encountered barriers at every turn. Segregated leagues and Jim Crow laws limited his opportunities, and racial prejudice often overshadowed his achievements. But Lloyd refused to let the racism define him. With grace and determination, he persevered, determined to prove himself on the basketball court and challenge the status quo. In 1950, Earl Lloyd made history as the first African-American to play in the NBA. His debut with the Washington Capitals marked a monumental moment in sports history, breaking down racial barriers and paving the way for future generations of Black basketball players. Despite facing hostility and racism from fans and opponents alike, Lloyd remained focused on his game, determined to excel at the highest level. His presence on the court not only opened doors for other Black athletes, but also helped to dismantle the segregated nature of professional basketball. Earl Lloyd's legacy extends far beyond his accomplishments on the basketball court. As a trailblazer and pioneer, he helped to pave the way for the integration of professional sports and inspired countless Black athletes to pursue their dreams. His courage, resilience, and unwavering commitment to equality continued to serve as a beacon of hope and inspiration for future generations. Earl Lloyd will forever be remembered as a true champion of justice and a towering figure in the history of basketball. 7. Wendell Scott. Wendell Scott's journey in motorsports was a testament to his resilience in the face of entrenched racism. In an era where the sport was predominantly white, Scott faced discrimination at every turn. From being denied entry to races to enduring racial slurs and threats, he encountered countless obstacles on his path to success. Despite these challenges, Scott remained undeterred, fueled by his passion for racing and a desire to prove himself on the track. In 1961, Wendell Scott made history as the first African American to win a race in NASCAR's Premier Series. His victory at the Jacksonville 200 was a groundbreaking moment in motorsports, shattering the color barrier and paving the way for future generations of black drivers. Despite facing resistance and discrimination from both fans and competitors, Scott continued to compete at the highest level, blazing a trail for other aspiring black racers. Wendell Scott's impact on NASCAR and motorsports cannot be overstated. As a trailblazer and pioneer, he helped to open doors for black drivers in a sport that had long been dominated by white competitors. His courage, perseverance, and determination continue to inspire generations of racers, and his legacy serves as a reminder of the importance of diversity and inclusion in motorsports. Wendell Scott will forever be remembered as a true champion on and off the track. How many athletes on this list have you heard of before? Leave a comment below. 6. Willie O'Ree. Willie O'Ree's journey in hockey was marked by the pervasive racism of his time. As the first black player in the NHL, O'Ree faced discrimination both on and off the ice. Despite his remarkable talent, he encountered hostility and bigotry from fans, opponents, and even teammates. Racial slurs and threats were all too common, yet Ree remained undeterred, determined to prove himself as a skilled athlete and break down barriers in the predominantly white sport of hockey. In 1958, Willie O'Ree made history when he stepped onto the ice for the Boston Bruins, becoming the first black player to compete in the NHL. Despite facing immense pressure and scrutiny, O'Ree excelled on the ice, showcasing his speed, skill, and determination. His presence in the league paved the way for future generations of black hockey players, inspiring countless others to pursue their dreams in a sport that had long been inaccessible to them. Willie O'Ree's impact on the NHL and the sport of hockey extends far beyond his playing career. As a trailblazer and pioneer, he helped to break down racial barriers and promote diversity and inclusion in hockey. Following his retirement, O'Ree continued to advocate for equality and social change, using his platform to inspire others and create opportunities for underrepresented communities. His legacy serves as a reminder of the power of perseverance and the importance of fighting for justice both on and off the ice. Enjoying this video? Want to create your own video with us? Click the join button and become an exclusive member of our team. Next up, before prime time, the juice and sweetness, there was the Black Cyclone. 5. Charles Follis. Charles Follis, also known as the Black Cyclone, faced significant challenges due to the racial prejudices prevalent in early American football. Born in 1879, Follis rose to prominence during a time where segregation was the norm. Despite his exceptional talent and passion for the game, he encountered discrimination at every level of play. From being excluded from certain teams to enduring racial slurs from opponents and spectators, Follis navigated a hostile environment on and off the field. Yet he persevered, determined to prove himself as a skilled athlete and break down racial barriers in football. In 1902, Charles Follis made history when he became the first black professional football player in the United States. As a member of the Shelby Blues, Follis showcased his exceptional talent, earning respect and admiration from teams and fans alike. Despite facing adversity, he excelled on the field, becoming known for his speed, agility, and sheer determination. Follis' trailblazing career paved the way for future generations of black football players, inspiring others to pursue their dreams in a sport that had long been segregated. Charles Follis' legacy as a pioneering figure in American football endures to this day. His courage, resilience, and unwavering commitment to the game helped to break down racial barriers and promote diversity and inclusion in sports. Though his contributions were often overlooked in his time, Follis' impact on the sport of football cannot be overstated. His legacy serves as a reminder of the importance of perseverance and the enduring power of athletes to effect positive change. 4. Marshall Walter Major Taylor. Marshall Walter Major Taylor faced formidable obstacles due to the pervasive racism of his time. Born in 1878, Taylor emerged as one of the greatest cyclists of his era during a period marked by segregation and discrimination. Despite his exceptional talent and determination, Taylor encountered racial prejudice at every turn. From being barred from competitions to facing hostility from fellow cyclists and spectators, he navigated a hostile environment both on and off the track. Yet, Taylor remained undeterred, driven by his passion for cycling and a desire to prove himself as a champion athlete. In 1899, Marshall Major Taylor made history when he became the first African-American world champion in cycling. His victory in the 1-mile track cycling event was a landmark achievement, breaking down racial barriers and challenging the notion of white supremacy in sports. Despite facing adversity and discrimination throughout his career, Taylor's talent and determination propelled him to success on the international stage. His trailblazing achievements paved the way for future generations of black cyclists, inspiring others to pursue their dreams in a sport that had long been inaccessible to them. Marshall Major Taylor's legacy as a pioneering figure in cycling endures to this day. His courage, resilience, and unwavering commitment to the sport helped to break down racial barriers and promote diversity and inclusion in cycling. Though his achievements were often overshadowed in his time, Taylor's impact on the sport of cycling cannot be overstated. His legacy serves as a reminder of the importance of perseverance and the enduring power of athletes to effect positive change, both on and off the track. 3. John Baxter Taylor. John Baxter Taylor Jr. faced significant challenges due to the pervasive racism within the sport of track and field during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Born in 1882, Taylor emerged as a talented athlete at a time when racial segregation was deeply entrenched in American society. Despite his remarkable abilities and achievements, Taylor encountered numerous barriers and prejudices throughout his athletic career. From being excluded from competitions to facing discrimination in training facilities and accommodations, he confronted systemic racism at every turn. Yet, Taylor remained determined to overcome these obstacles and pursue his passion for running. In 1908, John Baxter Taylor Jr. made history as the first African American to win an Olympic gold medal, competing as a member of the United States 4x400-meter relay team at the London Olympics. Taylor's remarkable performance helped secure victory for his team and solidified his place in Olympic history. Despite facing discrimination and adversity both on and off the track, Taylor's talent, dedication, and perseverance propelled him to the pinnacle of athletic achievement. His groundbreaking Olympic triumph paved the way for future generations of black athletes, inspiring others to pursue their dreams in a sport that had long been dominated by white competitors. John Baxter Taylor Jr.'s legacy as a trailblazer in track and field endures to this day. His courage, resilience, and unwavering commitment to excellence helped to break down racial barriers and promote diversity and inclusion in athletes. Though his life was tragically cut short at the age of 26, Taylor's impact on the world of sports and beyond cannot be overstated. His pioneering achievements serve as a powerful reminder of the enduring power of athletes to effect positive change and inspire future generations to reach for their dreams, regardless of race or background. We are down to our last two, but these are not all the trailblazers. Leave a comment below and let us know who you'd like to see make our next list. 2. Debbie Thomas. Debbie Thomas, a trailblazer in figure skating, faced significant challenges due to racial biases within the sport. As an African-American woman competing in a predominantly white sport during the 1980s, Thomas encountered discrimination and prejudice. Despite her exceptional talent and dedication, she often faced scrutiny and bias from judges and critics. Despite these obstacles, Thomas remained resilient, determined to prove herself on the ice, and challenged the racial stereotypes that permeated figure skating. In 1986, Debbie Thomas made history by becoming the first African-American woman to win the World Figure Skating Championships. Her groundbreaking victory shattered racial barriers in the sport and cemented her place in figure skating history. Thomas's technical skill, artistry, and unwavering determination captivated audiences around the world, inspiring countless young athletes to pursue their dreams regardless of race or background. Through her achievements, Thomas not only integrated the sport of figure skating, but also paved the way for future generations of diverse athletes. Debbie Thomas's legacy as a pioneer in figure skating continues to inspire generations of athletes. Her courage, resilience, and unwavering determination helped to break down racial barriers and promote diversity and inclusion in the sport. Despite facing numerous challenges throughout her career, Thomas's trailblazing achievements serve as a testament to the power of perseverance and determination. Her impact on figure skating and the broader athletic community serves as a reminder of the importance of representation and inclusion in sports. 1. Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson's entry into Major League Baseball marked a watershed moment in sports history, but it was not without its challenges. As the first African-American player in MLB in the modern era, Robinson faced intense racism and discrimination. From being subjected to racial slurs and threats to enduring segregation on and off the field, Robinson encountered hostility at every turn. Despite these adversities, he remained steadfast in his resolve to excel as an athlete and break down the barriers of segregation in America's pastime. In 1947, Jackie Robinson made history when he took the field for the Brooklyn Dodgers, breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball. His exceptional talent, combined with his courage and dignity in the face of adversity, quickly earned him the respect of his teammates and fans alike. Robinson's impact extended far beyond the diamond. He became a symbol of hope and progress in the fight for civil rights. His integration of baseball not only transformed the sport, but also paved the way for greater racial equality in American society. Jackie Robinson's legacy as a civil rights pioneer and sports icon is immeasurable. His trailblazing efforts opened doors for countless African-American athletes, inspiring future generations to pursue their dreams regardless of race. Beyond baseball, Robinson's commitment to social justice and equality left an indelible mark on American history. His enduring legacy serves as a reminder of the power of one individual to effect positive change and the importance of perseverance in the face of adversity. What if we told you that some of the coolest parts of American culture owe a lot to our African American community? From the music charts to the dinner tables, Black culture has transformed America and continues to influence the world every day. If you don't believe us, let us show you exactly how. Let's travel back in time. Early influences. A big part of Black culture was introduced to America through enslaved Africans. When enslaved Africans arrived in the Americas, they did not come empty-handed. They carried the diverse and rich traditions of their homelands. This included everything from languages and religious practices to music and culinary arts, which they managed to preserve despite the harsh realities of slavery. One of the biggest influences we still observe is their craftsmanship. Enslaved Africans used local materials to create functional items that were also culturally significant. For example, they used to make canoes, combs, trays, stools, and ceramics. What's really astonishing, and something many people don't know, is how these crafting skills were introduced and preserved in the Americas. Enslaved Africans taught each other, and even those in the communities around them, both fellow enslaved people and others, how to utilize local materials effectively. This transfer of knowledge allowed them to maintain a connection to their cultural heritage while adapting to a new and often brutal environment. Skilled African craftsmen were also often forced to work on plantations, where they applied their knowledge to create pottery and iron tools. Their expert techniques helped keep plantations running, but also preserve their crafting traditions, which can still be seen in Southern ironwork and pottery today. African folklore was another element that survived the Dark Ages and got embedded in American culture. Tales that featured characters like Anansi, the spider from West African mythology, were told as a way to impart moral lessons and maintain a sense of community. These folk tales are still heard in America. Other examples are Brer Rabbit, Uncle Monday, and Shango the Thunder God. Religious practices also transformed the cultural landscape. Many enslaved Africans stuck to their traditional spiritual beliefs, which later influenced the development of syncretic religions. For example, Voodoo in Haiti, Candomblé in Brazil, and Santeria in Cuba. These religions blend elements of African spiritual practices with Christianity and indigenous beliefs and show how much Black culture has impacted the world. And that's not all. Even the language, music, and food of the host nation were equally impacted. Take jazz and blues, for example. These music styles have roots in African traditions that introduced new rhythms and styles to the Americas. African music brought over rhythms that were complex and lively, along with a way of singing where one person sings a line and others respond. This call and response style became a key feature in both jazz and blues. The banjo, which is originally from Africa, became hugely popular in American music, especially in the South. It helped shape the sounds of early folk and blues music, which later influenced rock and roll. Work songs and spirituals sung by enslaved Africans were the early forms of blues. They would sing these songs to share stories, express deep feelings, and bring comfort during hard times. Blues music grew from these roots, talking about life struggles, perseverance, and hope. Jazz also started with African music mixed with European styles in places like New Orleans. It focused on making up the music as you go, which we call improvisation, and how the group plays together, which are big parts of what makes jazz unique. Then there is the food. Many staple ingredients in American cooking, like okra, black-eyed peas, and millet, were brought over by enslaved Africans. These ingredients became the backbone of iconic dishes. In the southern United States, for example, okra is now a key component in gumbo, which is a hearty stew that is a staple in southern cuisine. Another great example is rice cultivation, which enslaved Africans were skilled at. They brought techniques from West Africa to the marshlands of South Carolina and Georgia, introducing what would become a major crop. Their knowledge of rice cultivation transformed the American South's economy and also its food culture. This led to the introduction of dishes like jambalaya and red beans and rice. In Brazil, the influence of African cuisine can be tasted in feijoada, which is a rich stew of beans with beef and pork. It is considered Brazil's national dish and is a direct descendant of African cooking methods and flavors. And let's not overlook the impact on language. In parts of Southern America and the Caribbean, Pidgin and Creole languages embedded as a blend of African, European, and indigenous languages. In the southern United States, many words of African origin have made their way into English. For example, goober is a word used in the southern US, which means peanut. If you search for this word on Google, it will tell you that this is a word from the southern US. But the truth is, goober is originally an African word. Many other words like this have made their way into the American English language. But it's not just the Black culture that has impacted the world. Their people individually changed the world in ways that truly reshape politics ignited social movements, and inspired generations across the globe. Civil Rights Era and Cultural Revolution. The Civil Rights Era was a major period in American history that reshaped the nation. Martin Luther King Jr. is often the first name that comes to mind when you think of civil rights. His strategy of peaceful protest and his powerful speeches, like the famous "I Have a Dream," really pushed the public and the government to confront racial injustices. His efforts were a huge part of why important laws like the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 were passed. These laws helped end public segregation and made it easier for African Americans to vote. That's how he shaped America in his time. Then came Malcolm X, who took a different approach. He focused on Black empowerment and self-defense rather than passive resistance. He pushed Black Americans to be proud of their identity and to stand up for their rights forcefully if needed. His sharp words and ideas made people think about civil rights in a more global and aggressive way. If we are talking about the Civil Rights Era, how could we forget the Black Panther Party, founded by Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale? They were bold, taking direct action to fight police brutality and providing community services like free breakfast for kids and health clinics. Their actions spoke volumes about the need for change and inspired many by showing that communities could organize and take care of their own. Fred Hampton, who was a leader of the Black Panther Party in Chicago, really knew how to bring people together. He formed the Rainbow Coalition, which was groundbreaking because it united different races and groups who were all fighting for similar rights. These figures did not just fight for rights in the era of civil rights. They changed how America saw race and community. Their courage and actions sparked a major cultural shift. They forced the leaders to discuss race and equality. They made this discussion a permanent part of the American dialogue. During the Civil Rights Era, Black athletes emerged as powerful forces for social change and justice. Muhammad Ali, who is famously known for his prowess in the boxing ring, was equally formidable in his activism. He publicly opposed the Vietnam War. In 1967, at the height of his career, Ali refused induction into the U.S. Army, citing his religious beliefs and opposition to the war, famously stating, "I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong." His stance cost him the prime years of his career, and he was stripped of his world title and banned from boxing for several years. However, his act of defiance became a symbol of resistance against unjust government policies and inspired many to question America's role in Vietnam and its treatment of African Americans. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was another prominent figure, used his success in basketball as a platform to speak out against racial injustices. In 1968, he boycotted the Olympic Games to protest racial inequality. This way, he made a powerful statement that brought attention to the ongoing struggles for civil rights. Jim Brown, an NFL star, also took a stand against racial discrimination. Off the field, Brown was deeply involved in the civil rights movement. He would always advocate for African American rights, but he also did so much more than that. Jim Brown founded the Black Economic Union in 1969, which aimed to support African American businesses and foster economic independence within the Black community. His efforts helped empower Black entrepreneurs and addressed economic disparities that resulted from systemic racism. Perhaps one of the most iconic moments of athlete activism occurred during the 1968 Olympics when Tommie Smith and John Carlos, after winning medals, raised their fists in a Black Power salute during the national anthem. This powerful gesture became a lasting image of protest and solidarity. It drew attention worldwide to the struggles for racial justice in the United States and remains a defining moment of athlete activism. Following this era of civil rights, a cultural revolution started across America, which deeply influenced the fields of music, literature, and arts. This wave of creative expression began during the Harlem Renaissance. Back in the 1920s and 1930s, Harlem became the heart of Black culture. Writers like Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston wrote about Black life with a mix of raw honesty and pride. In a way, they changed how America saw race. Their stories and poems celebrated Black identity. They pushed back against the stereotypes and injustices of the time. Music was a massive part of this cultural shakeup too. Jazz and blues, which have deep roots in the Black experience, voiced the struggles and hopes of the community. Musicians like Louis Armstrong and Billie Holiday turned their personal and collective struggles into powerful songs that resonated with many. Their music became kind of a call for change and a source of comfort. In the world of art, artists like Aaron Douglas and Jacob Lawrence painted the African American experience in vivid colors. They illustrated scenes from everyday life and historical events, and by doing this, they celebrated Black history and culture for the world to see. This wave of cultural expression that started with the Harlem Renaissance not only added to the richness of American culture, it challenged and changed it. In fact, this cultural influence was so profound that its impact is still felt in modern-day America. Modern-day examples. Take a walk through any American city and you will hear Black slang that is seamlessly integrated into everyday conversation. Phrases like lit for something exciting or woke to describe awareness of social injustices are just a couple of examples. These words might come off to you as just passing trends, but in reality, they shape how new generations communicate. If we look at the world of fashion, the influence is just as strong. Streetwear, which originated from the hip-hop culture of African American communities, has taken over the global fashion industry. Brands like Supreme and Off-White, which draw heavily on this style, have become multi-million-dollar enterprises. According to a report, the global streetwear market was valued at approximately $185 billion in 2019. Black music is still influencing America as it was centuries ago. Hip-hop is now the most popular music genre in the United States. In fact, it accounted for 31.1% of all music listened to in 2020, more than any other genre. Beyond the numbers, hip-hop and its forebears like jazz, blues, R&B, and soul have deeply influenced artists globally. Internationally acclaimed artists like Beyoncé and Kendrick Lamar do more than sell millions of albums. They use their music to speak on social issues. By doing this, they influence public opinion and policy. For example, Beyoncé's 2016 Super Bowl performance was filled with elements of Black history and political activism. It was watched by over 115.5 million people. This is how she sparked a global conversation about race and justice in America. These examples show that the cultural contributions of Black Americans are not merely historical footnotes, but active, powerful influences that continue to shape and redefine global culture. And then there is one other element in the equation now: social media, digital influence, and social movements. Black culture has taken the digital world by storm. Every day, it starts new trends and movements with a flair that is impossible to ignore. From viral dances on TikTok to thought-provoking posts on Instagram, Black creators are at the forefront, driving change and setting the pace. Think about the viral dances. Do you remember the Renegade created by Jalaiah Harmon? It took over TikTok and turned into a worldwide dance craze. Then there was the Savage dance to the Megan Thee Stallion's beat, which pretty much everyone was trying to nail. These dances put the spotlight on young, creative Black talent. Though these creators are initially overlooked, they are now getting rightful recognition through social media, and they are using their platforms to influence the world. Now, how is that important? Well, from individual influence, they can start a collective action. We have a recent example. The power of Black digital influence is crystal clear with movements like Black Lives Matter. This movement started after the tragic shooting of Trayvon Martin. The movement resurfaced with the hashtag Black Lives Matter after the death of George Floyd. When videos of incidents like George Floyd's unjust death go viral, they spark outrage, yes, but they catalyze action. People from all walks of life come together, demanding change. This digital rallying makes a huge difference. It influences policies and shifts public opinion, which is the best kind of influence that the African American community makes in America. If you don't believe us, let us tell you that BLM's influence was not just limited to protests. It has led to real-world changes, which include police reforms, the toppling of Confederate statues, and a greater emphasis on racial justice and political discourse. Plus, it has inspired a wealth of online resources and communities that support learning and healing, proving that the movement is a sustained push for justice. Major contributions. When we talk about the huge impact African Americans have had on both America and the world, it is impossible not to mention people like Barack Obama. Barack Obama's presidency broke historic barriers as the first African American to hold the office. His presidency itself was historic, but his impact is also measured by specific policies and initiatives he championed. For example, the Affordable Care Act, passed in 2010, expanded healthcare access to millions of Americans who previously could not afford it. It was also a big step. The law has been a cornerstone in reducing the number of uninsured Americans and has been particularly beneficial to minority communities disproportionately affected by healthcare disparities. Obama also made strides in education. He created programs like the Race to the Top, which incentivized states to innovate and improve K-12 education. Then there is Oprah Winfrey, who has made an undeniable mark on the world through her career and philanthropic efforts. Beyond her amazing talk show that aired for 25 years, she has made significant educational contributions. One standout example is the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa, which she opened in 2007. This school was founded to provide educational opportunities to girls from disadvantaged backgrounds. The academy has provided quality education and has seen many of its graduates go on to universities around the world. Oprah has truly changed the life trajectories of many young girls, which is the best kind of influence you can make anywhere. Then there is Robert F. Smith. His influence in the tech industry is so great, but his most profound impact might be his commitment to education. In 2019, during a commencement speech at Morehouse College, Smith pledged to pay off the student loans of the entire graduating class. This incredible gesture alleviated financial burdens for the graduates, yes, but one other thing it did was highlight the critical issue of student debt in America. This started national discussions about college affordability and the disproportionate impact of student loans on African American students. It is an important topic that needs to be addressed, and Smith is the one who made it possible. These examples show how much these individuals have achieved in their lives, but most importantly, they show how their actions have led to real positive changes in society. Obama's policies have provided health and educational opportunities to millions. Oprah's educational initiatives have opened doors for many young women, and Smith's philanthropy has directly addressed financial barriers faced by students. Through their respective fields, they have each taken significant steps to dismantle barriers and create a more equitable society. Black culture has been influencing America for ages and is not going to stop doing it anytime soon. We are genuinely fortunate to benefit from this ongoing influence, which is making America a richer, more inclusive place. Now, let's keep the inspiration flowing. Click on the next video to hear about the most powerful Black men in American history. Their stories are nothing short of legendary. So, don't miss out.